Good morning, everyone. This is Charles in Chicago on Thursday, October 19th. Well, I just came across an article in the Catholic Herald, UK, and here's the headline. Pope Francis praises John Wesley for leading people to knowledge of Jesus Christ. Well, John Wesley is the founder of the Methodist Church. Before I talk about this, I want to talk about one other thing. If you know, and some people don't, that this is the 500th anniversary of the Lutheran Reformation, 1517. And I believe it was earlier this year or the end of last year when Pope Francis went to, I believe, a place called Lund in Sweden to have discussions with the Lutherans about the differences in the theology of the two churches and setting up a commission or a group of people to study ways of bridging the gap. Well, as soon as I started thinking about this, I thought about a statue um, that Pope Francis is standing alongside of. This is a statue of Martin Luther. Um, and I thought it was a statue that's actually in the Vatican, and so I just looked that up, and in fact it is. So in the Vatican, there's a statue of Martin Luther with the Pope standing next to him. And what's so I don't know what other word to use other than bizarre about this statue is it's all red. All right, the clothing is red. Martin Luther, um, his skin is red. In other words, you can see his hands, his neck, his face is the same color red, and his hair is red. And this is really I just really don't even know how to describe this statue. There was a lot of talk about it. Of course, this was before I started the channel, so I've only had the channel here for a couple of months. Um, so this is really something else. But so now he's talking with the Methodists here. So I'm just going to read you some of this. All right. All right. He was celebrating 50 years of dialogue with the World Methodist Council. So apparently, dialogue this has gone on for quite some time, although he's encouraging it, but I mean, that's okay. It just depends on, like they say, the devil's in the details. All right, so the Pope says Methodism founder John Wesley brought many people to Christ through prayer and Bible reading, Pope Francis has said. Speaking with leaders of the World Methodist Council, Pope Francis praised 50 years of dialogue between the Catholic and Methodist churches. Vatican Radio reports. So, that's a good report. Um, we are no longer strangers, he said, but rather through our shared baptism, members of the household of God. Well, offhand, I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, Christians do belong to the household of God. Speaking about John Wesley, the 18th century Anglican clergyman who founded the Methodist movement, Pope Francis said his example converted many people to God. We cannot fail to rejoice when the Holy Spirit works through other Christian denominations, the Pope added, as they also help us grow closer to the Lord. I don't see anything wrong with that. Okay, so here's where I'm having a problem with all this. However, he concluded by saying we cannot grow in holiness without growing in communion. So what he's saying, I think what I think he's saying is that for Christianity to grow in holiness, the different sects need to grow in communion with each other. All right, now this one here really gets me. Quote, let us prepare ourselves with humble hope and concrete efforts for that full recognition which will enable us to join one another in the breaking of bread together. The breaking of bread together. Okay, so so here, concrete efforts. Okay, so this is pretty much a statement of saying, that it certainly supports what a lot of people believe, which is Pope Francis is trying to unite all of Christianity. All right, so are the other Christian churches going to accept the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist? I mean, that's hard to believe. So if they don't accept that, what what do we have to do? Deny that? I mean, where is the common ground? This is like a sort of a very black and white sort of issue. Well, there is prophecy in the last several years that actually speak towards at some point in time, which, might be just a few years from now, Pope Francis will begin saying that, the Eucharist is a sharing between brothers and sisters, of the sharing of bread. Um, and then I remember the prophecy said that it would be at this point in time when Christ would withdraw from he would withdraw his real presence from the Eucharist. Um, so here we have something like this. It's just really it's really troubling to think that something like this can actually happen. Um, if you really give it a couple of minutes worth of thought, you just don't see how these kinds of, um, this kind of thing can be resolved. I just said what he said, up on top, 50 years of dialogue. Okay, after 50 years of dialogue, this hasn't been, these differences in beliefs have not been bridged, but yet here he is trying to do that, and not only do it with the Methodists, with the Lutherans. He's talked with um, other major Christian religions. He's talked with, Buddhists and, Hindus and people from Islam. Um, offhand, I don't want to make too much of this, but yet, um, it all supports this whole thing of this one world religion. Um, that some people believe that he's actually working towards. So anyway, I pretty much just read the article to you. There really isn't much more. If you want to see it for yourself, I left the link there, and I keep on forgetting to tell you that I try to remember to put the link in the description box below the video, although I think people on mobile phones don't see that. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. Like I told you before, I don't have a mobile phone, so I just wanted to bring that to you and have you think about, give a couple of minutes of thought about where he's leading us, where he's going with all this. He comes up with these things that sound, they sound great, but, it's just, it's, if there was a way to do these kinds of things of uniting Christianity, it seems like God would have shown another pope before this, and if it's possible, then it would have happened. Can you imagine having dialogue with someone for 50 years, or who knows how long we've been talking with the Lutherans, or the Baptists or whoever, whatever other Christian religion. And these differences remain, but yet Pope Francis is going to figure out a way of doing this. Now whether he'll ever be successful or not, who knows. But so anyway, here, well, I've already talked for 10 minutes, so I'll let you go. And enjoy the day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.